The Bear Season 2 is perfect from start to finish. It is great television and a wonderful series to take the lead now that Succession and Barry have bowed out of the race, each with very strong finales, I must say. Thanks to top-notch acting and exceptionally detailed writing, which you could be forgiven for not noticing given the pace the story moves at, we get a truly sublime experience. Everything works, and the shifts in perspective this season outside of the kitchen allow for moments of introspection that are believable, with a special shout out to episode 4, which sees Marcus travel to Copenhagen. Season 2 begins where we left off. The team have found Uncle Cicero's money, which Mickey had stored in the tomato cans from Season 1. They're gutting the restaurant and working out a plan to transform the beef into a high-quality restaurant, aptly titled The Bear. Naturally, problems start from the get-go, and it becomes readily apparent that the $350,000 they found isn't going to be enough to restore a dump into something truly world-class. Uncle Cicero enters the scene and is reluctant to part with any more of his money. So Kami goes out on a limb and promises that they'll turn a profit and pay him back in 18 months for an extra $500,000. This means that the team needs to restore the space in 3 months, even though the project should take upwards of a year so that they can get to earning fast. The clock starts ticking, the pressure starts mounting, and the frayed nerves reveal themselves once more, just as we saw time and again in Season 1. Every character undergoes growth, and just when you think Kami will melt down, he shows restraint. Well, some restraint. Just when you think Sydney's doubts will lead her to give up on her dream, she finds a reserve of strength she never knew existed. The story follows 3 main dramatic threads: Kami's family drama and his attempts at a relationship with an old crush of his, Claire; Sydney's relationship with her dad and fears about another disastrous attempt at entrepreneurialism, and the other members of the restaurant each finding fulfillment and purpose later in life. Every character gets their own moment in the sun, such as Tina becoming a trained chef and more senior employee, or Richie maturing and coming to terms with wasted time and potential from having lived a frivolous life. Jeremy Allen White as Kami delivers a consistent and very strong performance, but it is essentially the same as what he did last season, which was a little disappointing but does make sense given Kami's addictive personality. Some people really need to hit rock bottom before they'll truly change, and Kami certainly has that moment by the end of the series. He continues to battle his childhood trauma, which manifests itself in outbursts of despair, anxiety, or rage, and it is heartbreaking to watch him sincerely believe he is cursed and incapable of experiencing joy. Sydney, played by the exceptional Ao Edibiri, is really the star of this season as she yearns to receive recognition for her talents and make up for lost time due to her failed catering business from before the show began. She steals every scene she's in, at once timid and yet tenacious, and always battling the inner demons gnawing away at her confidence. The Bear wisely explores the impact of COVID-19 and skyrocketing interest rates on small businesses, especially those like restaurants, which are low margin and to be found on every corner. Sydney must reconcile the pursuit of her dream with the high likelihood of failure, and this is exacerbated by her father's loving, but at times frustrating, concern for her future. I'd never heard of Ao until The Bear and can safely say I missed out big time. I look forward to watching her earlier work. Lionel Boyce as Marcus is also amazing. From the opening scene in the hospital with his dying mother to the final moments of the season where he sees a chef doing crack behind the restaurant, he's a continual joy to watch. As mentioned, episode 4 set in Copenhagen is his moment, and he steals the show with sensitivity, gentleness, and earnest love for the art of dessert creation. The episode is directed by Yami Yusuf, who established himself with his own show as a very thoughtful and insightful artist. He brings a soft yet precise direction to the episode, and it was very refreshing to see a trip to Europe not devolve into some lecture about colonialism or other hot political topic. Instead, we get an emphasis on a very universal human experience. A desire to be great, uncertainty as to how to achieve that, discovering there are those who are better than you, and then ultimately experiencing fulfillment from the work, irrespective of any recognition. It's a very good episode, and yet it never feels the need to hammer you over the head. Like a cool breeze, all the ideas are conveyed without any great force. The other outstanding episode is number 6, which looks at a Berzado Christmas dinner 5 years prior to the series' start. Mikey is alive and chaos abounds. Donna, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, delivers a scorching performance, and we get to clearly see how Kami has adopted so many of her negative traits in the kitchen and out of it with his drinking problem. John Bernthal as Mickey is incredible, and we get a clear insight into his depression, self-destructive behavior, and how, mirroring Kami, he believes that he's cursed and can't have good things in his life. One particularly poignant moment sees Kami excitedly discuss working with his brother to transform the beef. Mickey plays it off nicely, but immediately tears up once he's alone, slaps his face to drive this display of despair off, and then continues pretending everything is all right. He doesn't want his brother in his life because he doesn't see anything good in him or in the beef. He believes he needs to shield others from his inability to produce something good, and it's devastating and truly an incredible performance from Bernthal. It's a testament to his abilities as an actor that he can convey so much in the few scenes he's in each season, given that he truly looms large over the show. We feel the loss of Mickey and sense his ghost throughout each season, just as Kami does, and this is entirely thanks to Bernthal burning his very soul onto the screen. The direction and editing, just like last season, are tremendous, and you quickly realize this when you find yourself on the edge of your seat over whether a meal can be cooked properly and fast enough. The only way that could ever be truly gripping is if the team behind The Bear were able to craft a story with characters you empathize with and yearn to see succeed. Then they wisely throw a spanner in the works, and we get to watch how well each character responds to these pressures. When characters rise to the challenge and grow because of it, we as the audience experience elation with them. Using the restaurant as a reflection of the character's personal state is a great visual metaphor. Even as this season allows for transformation and rejuvenation, there are still small flaws which ultimately cut people down and destroy everything. In Kami's case, even as he starts to look good on the surface, a fatal defect ultimately ruins him and leaves him, seemingly, in just as bad a shape as he was in season 1. I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but as I mentioned at the start, the writing is very detailed and thoughtful, even as everything goes at a million miles an hour. You could rewatch season 2 immediately after finishing it and be rewarded with new details and insight into how well crafted the architecture of this season truly is. It's an absolute delight, and it is definitely an example of what the writers striking mean when they say that an AI shouldn't, and perhaps couldn't, create what they're doing. This isn't the case with a lot of what Hollywood puts out, and for those who have seen my other reviews, you should be able to clearly tell that I genuinely love this show. Just about everything else on television gets half my attention, at best, but The Bear is so well made, so full of heart, both the joy and sorrow that comes with this, such that I refuse to look away and feverishly load up the next episode. I should have paced myself, but like a great meal, you just sometimes need to hoover it up. The Bear is exceptional, and I'm so happy that it exists. Good television has been hard to find lately, and since starting this channel I've burdened myself with reviewing very mediocre stuff that I started to become jaded and cynical about the art form. Fortunately, I'm now as light as a feather and hopeful for the future. Thanks so much for listening, and I highly recommend you go check out The Bear.